first, of course, back to Trump indictment number 3. Let's get to the analysis as the Trump team gets back to battle station mode. For more, let's welcome in the former Lieutenant Governor of New York and Newsmax contributor Betsy McCoy, attorney and Republican strategist Erin Elmore, and political analyst and best-selling author Mark Halperin. It is great to have you all on this morning. A lot to get to. A lawyer, Jonathan Turley, also an attorney yesterday, said this is a free speech killing indictment. It's the criminalization of political speech that almost every politician would be guilty of. He also said it's an attack on the First Amendment. By the way, and I just thought this was funny, I also think it's deliberate. The Bidens continue their 10-day beach vacation in Delaware. They, Dr. Jill and Joe, went to see Oppenheimer last night in theaters.
Would have been funnier if they wanted to see Barbie.
I was just going to say, I'm sure they did not see The Sound of Freedom. But of course, this, right, as my two esteemed co-panelists have just said, this is a completely political prosecution intended to take out Donald Trump. And we already know that this is Washington, D.C., where 98% of the population is Democrat, and he will never get a fair trial. But if he is elected president, he can completely pardon himself. Part of this indictment is 18 U.S.C. 241, conspiracy against rights, which, by the way, could have him see the death penalty if the death resulted on that day, which was Ashley Babbitt. This is absolutely ludicrous. And it's just a shame that we live in a country that's more of a third world banana republic than a constitutional republic. And it's very sad. And I think every Republican is going to unite behind Donald Trump, because right now we see what is happening in our country. Yeah. We have Hunter Biden, who can basically operate however he wants, forget the FARA Act. He's basically a foreign agent going into Ukraine and Russia and all over the globe.
Romania and China.
China too, of course. And it's completely wrong. And there's nothing that looks like there will ever be consequences for him.
And now
meanwhile, Donald Trump can't even exercise his First Amendment freedoms.
Good point, Erin. Three times now, 3 indictments. It has been a Joe Biden story that we're talking about the day before, a Hunter Biden and or Joe Biden story the day before. Literally 3 times in a row now, we've had indictments that wipe that right off the first page. Mark, that's gotta be deliberate. What has happened to that?
This judge also worked at Boies Schiller, which has deep ties to the Democrat Party, represented Theranos, the fraudulent blood testing company, this judge specifically, and represented Hunter Biden. So there could be a conflict. But the fact that she's randomly selected in D.C.'s all liberal judges, you're not going to get much better.
Jack Smith wants to send Donald Trump to prison, and he's acting like it.
Yeah. So, Erin, great point. We can't criticize the judge, though, because it's just they draw it out of a hat. Put it this way: Trump got the judge he wanted down in Florida in the documents case.
And the venue,
right?
And
a good venue. I think the Alvin Bragg indictment's probably a joke. The Georgia one could be serious, but this is not a great judge for Donald Trump. One final point. Just about 15 seconds left, but Mark, last night I went to bed. I couldn't sleep. My blood was boiling. But we've talked about Trump not taking part in that debate, which happens in 21 days, so 3 weeks. I think he should. I think he should now. Erin, Betsy, thank you. Let's welcome Alex Kramer, and she's got an attorney. Do we see trials, do you think, in any of these 3 indictments before the 2024 election?
Only potentially in Florida, because the justice system moves more quickly there. But I don't see any of these going to trial beforehand. And we know that President Trump's PAC is covering all of his legal bills. And some people are saying they're trying to bleed Trump dry so he can't campaign. I tell you what, if President Trump just goes on Truth or just has his surrogates out there, I don't think this is going to impact his ability to win in any negative way. But if you look at all 3 of these indictments, none of them have a gotcha moment. The New York one kept pointing to an underlying statute or underlying crime, yet the crime was never presented. In Florida, it was charge stacking, basically reiterating the same charge over and over and over again. And in this one, there is no law that has been broken. Moreover, it's just First Amendment violations, and Donald Trump's within his absolute right to free speech. So none of these charges, none of these indictments show you that moment where you say, we've got President Trump here. And that's what shows you it's an absolute political prosecution where it's under the auspices of Joe Biden, his political contender. It's like we're living in a third world banana republic, and every American right, left, and center should say to themselves, this is not how a constitutional republic operates.
Yeah. Political. If Trump does become the nominee, and we've got a lot of time, but let's say he's the nominee, he can pardon himself. if he wins in 2024. So all of this could be off the table.
Only on the federal case.
Except for the state case.
Except for the state case. But he could, there's nothing in the Constitution that says he can't self-pardon, right? So that means that the two federal cases would go away.
Not been tested.
A lot of this hasn't been tested.